Hey, I wanted to remind you in a little conversation that we will set the Eye of Sauron on fire on the air if you give us $100. So
air?
On air. Well, it's no good off air.
In the building?
We'll work it out.
Remote broadcast.
We'll do a remote from outside.
Yeah.
A little wireless.
A little alcohol, gasoline or something.
A little lighter fluid or something on top. Just a tiny bit. Something. Just a little fire right there.
Yeah, just
$100. Come on.
Why not?
You're the one who says it's dying.
I don't mind the $100. I just have, my last name is Murphy. Murphy's Laws.
Can we get
setting something on fire in a building?
Can we get a little page boy wig for the Eye of Sauron?
We sure could. And I'm sorry you mentioned that, because prior to that I was going to say maybe we should just offer it up as
one eyelash.
We could do that too, but for target practice.
Oh yeah, it'd be pretty good for that.
At 200 yards.
At 200 yards.
Better yet, $100, you get a shot. Shoot it. How about that? We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, all right. Maybe.
Or you could just donate $100 to granitcroc.com anyway, because we need the money. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation.
No, I think, once the Londonderry Fishing Game gets their new range done, we could do it. $100, 200 yards. Go for it.
Put run right through the eye.
I can get an extender cable for the USB, and we can watch the bullet. We can have the bullet coming in.
Oh, this is getting good. All right. Brainstorming.
And wig on it going,
and I can even make it shake its head.
Yes, you could.
Wow.
All right. So
welcome to the ADD blogger world of Granite.
Back to positive life. After we talk about burning and destroying equipment.
Sorry, Darlene.
No apologies necessary. Great fun. Right after the convention, 40 Days for Life starts. So on the 21st of September, or the 22nd of September, there'll be a kickoff around the state, a couple different places. One in Manchester, I'm not sure where that is exactly, but that'll be on our website, and that'll be on 40daysforlife.com. The 22nd, there is the largest protest for Planned Parenthood ever put together.
September?
Spearheaded by Students for Life, September 22nd.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
There will be Planned Parenthood protests in 150 locations all over the United States. So 40 different organizations, I'm told, are participating in promoting this. And so it will be everywhere in all the Planned Parenthoods that we can muster all over the country. I'm sure it'll be bigger than that. That's just what we know about. That's just what Students for Life has been told. Yes, we're on board. Yes, we can do it. We have somebody to coordinate.
But that day, I think WMUR is at some knitting contest, and they won't be able to cover it.
That's
what I've heard.
Yeah, I did get that rumor.
Yeah, it's a memo. It's somewhere.
Yeah. 40 Days for Life, as some of you may know, is just a prayerful time outside of the abortion centers. And it's not a protest. The signs, if they carry any, usually say something to the effect of Jesus heals and forgives. There's help for you. We're here for you with, something very peaceful and prayerful, and seldom elicit any real true negative response, because it's not an in-your-face thing. It's a very peaceful time. You can sign up at 40 Days for Life. I think there's a 40 Days for Life New Hampshire, I think, is where we have our various programs. New Hampshire Right to Life usually sponsors one or two around the state, depends on whether or not they can get their own funding. And we just want to promote that too. And the next thing we have is really super key, and I'm so grateful to God for putting it on my heart to do. Last year I started this. In October of last year, our Vice President, Betty Bruder, brought to us the idea of having a post-abortion training for medical professionals. Her husband's a doctor, and so she feels like that the medical community really needs to be able to be versed in how to help women who are post-abortive. And so I contacted Teresa Burke, who founded Rachel's Vineyard, and I set a date, and she's coming up on November 7th. I went forward with that and took the spring to put forth an application to get continuing education units for medical professionals. So not only will we have this one full day seminar for people who counsel women and men who have suffered traumatic pregnancy loss, but we will also have continuing education units for medical professionals available for those that want it. Wow. And it's a really big deal. It's taken like this whole year to bring it together and make it to come to fruition. We got her acceptance, so we actually do have those continuing education units available for medical professionals. You don't have to be a medical professional, though. You could be anyone. You're more than more than welcome to come and join us. That registration form and all of the specifics on the course, including all of the objectives, are right on NHRTL.org/RVM for Rachel's Vineyard Ministry. And so it's RVM. And that has everything you need right there, all encompassed. You can the downloadable brochure, all of the objectives to the course, who to get in contact with, how to pay, everything. We even have an early bird special. And if you're already involved in the ministry of ministering to post-abortive families, you can give me a call. I have some special discounts available to you.
I noticed October 8th is the New Hampshire Right to Life fundraising banquet.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I skipped that, didn't I? Thank you so much.
Manchester, correct?
It is. It's at the Best Western in Manchester. And Josh Edmonds, who does the Pillars of Personhood, will be there that evening, too. So if you have students or you are a student and you want to come, give us a call. We usually have sponsors for students. It is a giant family reunion for pro-lifers at the New Hampshire Right to Life banquet. We usually have a little more than 300 people attending. It is the people who have been in it since 1971 and the people who are coming into it now all in one place. It's so energized, and there's so much wisdom, and there's so much energy and ingenuity, and the whole thing comes together just marvelously. It's just a really wonderful family reunion for pro-lifers. They are some of the kindest, most generous people on the face of the earth, and they open their hearts and minds and wallets, and they really, really care about people. They don't just care about the babies in utero. They care about all people. And we really just have a wonderful time with each other.
They are. And I go to the CareNet fundraiser every year in Litchfield, down in Hollis. Right.
Cool. And the CareNet fundraiser usually are in that month usually, and we also have those listed on our website as well. So if you sign up for our e-alerts and you're a CareNet supporter, you will find out when there are CareNet things happen.
You know, I just look at everything that you've listed off, and I dryly note what's going on in the wider world around us with the political activity that's just all around us because of those videos and the resurgence of the pro-life movement, where now for the first time more people are pro-life than they have been pro-abortion or pro-choice. Again, one of those bastardizations of the common language that the progressives like to do, because it takes the philosophy out from underneath us. What used to be good is now bad, and they've turned the tables, and it's very rarely noted that that's the only way that they can advance their message is by devolving the language. But you look at the states now that have decided to defund Planned Parenthood. You know, we've done it here in New Hampshire twice. Once it was overridden by Jean Shaheen. New Hampshire Right to Life has got the FOIAs, Freedom of Information Act, or as we call them here in New Hampshire, Right to Know lawsuits going on.
91As.
Yep, 91As.
Hear us say that a lot.
I think there's now 5 states that are either in the process or have already defunded Planned Parenthood. So from your perspective, do you see this as just another set of regular waves, or is this more of a tsunami wave that all of a sudden it's sort of one of those times where, bing, everything is just happening at once?
I can only hope. That's what I have to say. We are in a time when information is everywhere and people know for sure. I think this is a dividing time. I think that that's really what this is about, is a dividing time. We're going to have people who are radically this or radically that. I think the middle of the road bunch is going to be very, very small.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, certainly in the political world. There is no mushy middle anymore. But
Wait a minute, isn't he going to run for governor?
And to which one are you
thinking about?
Never mind.
Mushy middle.
Huey, Chris Sununu.
Yeah. The phrase that Glenn Reynolds, who's a law professor down in Tennessee, who runs the large blog site Instapundit, calls it a perception cascade, where all of a sudden things build and build and build and build, and all of a sudden something small happens, and then everybody gets on board, and it just overwhelms everything else. And I am wondering, as I step back a couple of steps from this whole process, have we hit that tipping point? Has the crowd changed for pro-life? Understanding, because of all the medical advances, first with the sonogram, then the x-rays, the ability to keep preemies, and I was a preemie at a long time ago now. But I was just that. And younger and younger, we're finding out more and more that the science isn't settled and as we go along. And are people starting to say, well, we have to listen to this as well as to the heart. Not just the hard science, but to the emotional side of this. Because how many people walk around pregnant saying, oh, I like my fetus? It's always a baby.
Right. It's always a baby. It is always a baby, but that's where I'm talking about the dividing line, where you'll have the people who are actually pro-life, and I'm talking, I think Jane uses womb to tomb, so I say conception to death. The issue that you're talking about, like, has this tipped to people becoming more pro-life? I hope so, but you have a lot of people who are really pushing this eugenicist mindset of, but there are exceptions. The elderly, the infirm, the really sick, that terribly disabled, they're going to cost money,
Well, that's kind of where Obamacare is coming from. Rahm Emanuel's brother Ezekiel said we shouldn't be giving out health care after age 75. Mm-hmm. I won't take any at age 75. I'm going to wait till he's 74, 364 days and see what he thinks about that.
Well, he's got money.
For the great...
He'll just pay cash.
Yeah, for the great, or for the goodness of society. I mean, you're right. The eugenicists are saying, we'll put boundaries on what life really means or what the quality of life really means.
If you reduce it to a budget line item, your bureaucrat has to make a decision, and you're going to be on the wrong end of it at some point. That's just the way it works.
But I'm not suggesting that this state or anybody has to take care of everybody's needs medically or anything like that. I'm just talking about not imposing death. That's the difference that I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about... we have to go all out and do all of these crazy things and put new arms and legs and all this other stuff on people that, some people would say are quote unquote not worthy. I'm not in a position to make that judgment because I'm not an elitist. I leave that to people much smarter than me. All I'm talking about is if you're pro-life, basically to me it means you're not going to impose death on anybody.
Okay. Quick contact information. We got about 30 seconds, and then we got to end the segment.
www.NHRTL.org. I have loads of information on www.thedarlingprincess.com. That's darling as in dear sweet one. princess.com.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again real soon.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you all very much.
And you're always a great guest to have on.
Thank you.
All right. This is Grok Talk. My name is Steve McDonald. I'm here with Skip Murphy and Susan Olson and Paul Bestis-Delwas. Thank you again, Darlene. Coming up in our next segment, New Hampshire Rep. John Burt from the John Burt Society. Will be joining us to talk about ballot selfies, and we're going to talk about that and maybe whatever else we can squeeze into 27 and a half minutes for however long it is. We'll be right back.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
The 603 Alliance held its second training seminar on Tuesday, August 11, 2015 at St. Anselm's Institute of Politics, and despite the heavy storms throughout the area, the turnout was fantastic. After introductions and a brief overview of who the 603 Alliance and CVL New Hampshire LLC are, the training focused on the first in the state 603 Grassroots Presidential Caucus to be held on Saturday, October 17, 2015 at the Hopkinton Fairgrounds. Procedures for the caucus were discussed and a call to action for volunteers to help on event day was met with great enthusiasm. Almost everyone volunteered to help, and thanks to our wonderful friends from Massachusetts who have offered their assistance as caucus marshals. If you could not make the training seminar this week and would like to volunteer your time, please download the GPS Caucus sign-up form available at 603alliance.org. There are instructions on the site for where to send the form.
Rock.